All right, folks, we're about to get started. Just give me a couple more minutes.
This blue eye perceives all things conjoined. The past, the future, and the present. Everything flows, and all is connected. This eye is not merely seeing reality. It is touching the truth. There is nothing to fear. Yeah. I see what you mean.
I mean, that beat is just smooth. It's chill. I like it. Anyways, folks, welcome to another episode of Pants Undone. Sorry I haven't been with you guys for a while. I had some technical difficulties. My last keyboard went a little fritzy on me. Was typing letters and typing keys that I was not touching. So when I tried to run the broadcast, it was just causing it was bringing up menus, it's all by itself and making selections, and it would have been next to impossible to try and broadcast under those conditions. However, I whipped out the old keyboard and I just sent off the my current keyboard for return. So hopefully I'll get that back by next week. But for now, we'll just roll with the old keyboard here. There's not much wrong with it. It's got some actual like physically broken keys, but you can still use them. Anyways, so today's topic is movies and remakes. And what do we think about that? Well, me personally, I don't have a problem with them. Now, my good friend Amanda Athy. Am I saying her name right? I butchered her last name just then. There's no doubt about that. Let me pull her up here. Yeah, Amanda Athy. Yeah, she posted the other day. Let's pull that up real quick. Now she's not the first, and I'm not singling her out, poking at her, anything of that sorts. She's just the more recent person to kind of speak up about the remake type situations and whatnot. Um, anyways, here is her Wow, wait a minute, that's not right. Let's just find it. Guess we'll have to find it on her. Okay, yeah, here we are. So Amanda says, I'm gonna drag this over here. I'm gonna drag this over to the other screen so I can read it, and then still monitor the comments on the other side there. So she says to Hollywood. I shouldn't have named her. I apologize, Amanda. Wasn't thinking straight. Don't nobody bother her. Because I got a little side gig called Accidents Happen. And you might receive my services. Anyway, she says to Hollywood, stop. Just stop. For the love of all that is holy in this crazy world. Stop remaking movies and TV shows. So, let's throw this out there. Hollywood has never come up with anything new, inventive. I mean, I shouldn't say never. There's a few out there. People who didn't know any better, like, would say, well, The Matrix, right? The Matrix or something, and Matrix wasn't. There's a lot about The Matrix that's almost a shot for shot of an anime movie called Akira. And there's a lot, there's a lot of similarities between Akira. As a matter of fact, if the internet existed, maybe somebody can find it. I read this back in the late 90s, early 2000s when The Matrix first came out. The Wachowski brothers actually said in an interview, and the magazine I had was Entertainment Weekly, and so in one of these interviews, the Wachowski brothers admitted that we just wanted to make a live action anime movie, and we couldn't secure the rights to anything, that already existed. So we pulled elements from other anime. Star Wars. Star Wars is like Star Wars is literally a plagiarism diatribe. There's nothing original about Star Wars. Nothing. Nothing. Even the crawl at the beginning of the movies, where the synopsis goes off into space and goes away, that came from old serials in the 1940s and 50s. George Lucas had said one time that he really enjoyed serials, in movie theaters. And what serials were like series. They weren't full-fledged movies. They were episodes, if you will. You'd go to the theater, you'd watch them, and new episodes would come out every month or so. Lone Ranger was like that for a while. There's a couple other, like, science fiction. A lot of science fiction was like that. But serials would do that, called the crawl, and those, So he didn't even come up with that. And so there's nothing about. As a matter of fact, somebody did a YouTube video on Star Wars and what have you, and actually shows like some old pirate movies where there's like almost a shot for shot of some of the fight scenes and stuff, like sword scenes and things like that. Some of the ship scenes, even character names, seem to be very eerily close to being the same. So to say that it's a little different to say that something like when you write a piece of artwork, a script, a book, a story. It's one thing to say I was influenced by something. It's another to just go, you literally just ripped off that scene. Like that's not an influence. You just literally took that scene and reshot it with laser swords. So, and that comes into question. I mean, I'm gonna. This is sacrilegious here, I guess, but it comes into question. Does George Lucas really have any talent when it comes to directing? Because I'm telling you, there's a YouTube video out there that shows like a lot of shots and stuff that he just basically blatantly ripped off, like the camera, where the camera sits, everything from like old movies, old serials, old pirate movies, old silent movies, things like that, and how they're like, wow, So it comes into question: is there really any talent in George Lucas? He has some great ideas. There's no doubt. I mean, whatever. But originality, no. Nothing original about anything George Lucas has put out there. Nothing. So that's the first sentence of the post, and then she goes on to say, "I understand how difficult it is to use your imagination and create something new." Again, hardly anything's ever new. Uh, it never was in Hollywood, really, ever. Um, that's the thing. Most Hollywood movies are based on something else. They're based on a book. Even back in the early days of Hollywood, a movie was based on most likely a novel of some sorts, or something like that. And they were just. I should silence that. I know that was probably kind of loud. So let's do this here. Let's turn that down, huh? So, and see, that's the thing. It's like nothing's original when it came to Hollywood. Nothing. Again, I shouldn't say nothing. I'm speaking in platitudes there. I'm sure there's a movie here and there that somebody came up with, and it was like an original idea, and for a movie and whatnot. But most movies start out as some other type of property. It's always been that way, and so the post goes on to say, but if you feel the need to use someone else's talent, take something that sucks and make it better. Well, they do that a lot, Amanda. They actually do that a lot. She says, do not remake something that is already a perfect classic. It's subjective. You may think it's a perfect classic. So, but there's plenty of people that don't think. I mean, let's go back to George Lucas. George Lucas didn't even think Star Wars, which is considered by most a perfect classic, he didn't even consider it perfect. That's why we had the special editions and the super duper special editions and extra super duper special editions of Star Wars in the original trilogy. So nothing's technically perfect, Now, I will agree, and you'll get me on your side on some movies that you just don't touch it. And it's more or less to do with that. Will it work? Will redoing that movie work in our time? Back to the Future may not work to remake. There's just I'm not saying it shouldn't be done, but we just don't know if it works. Now, she goes on to say, you won't make a ton of money. You won't make a ton of money. It will never reach the fame of the original, and all it shows is how explicit lazy you are. And she never curses. She's really passionate about this, so that's why I'm so upset I named her. I didn't really mean to do that. I'm so sorry, Amanda. I'm so sorry. She's real passionate about this. And just to give you a little more context, the particular movie that she is even referring to is Dirty Dancing. So apparently they're gonna remake Dirty Dancing, which And so I responded to her. I said, you do realize that hardly anything from Hollywood was an original idea. Furthermore, what do you think about the following movies? And I list a bunch of movies, okay? There's The Thing, 1982. Now, all these movies I'm naming here, they're all remakes. All of them are remakes. The Thing, 1982. The Departed, 2006. The Fly, 1986. Ocean's 11, 2001. Scarface, 1983. Yes, Scarface is a remake. It's a remake of a 1950s movie or 60s. Can't remember the exact year. It's in that era, though. And it was named Scarface. And it was the exact same movie, except instead of it being a Cuban refugee selling cocaine, it was an Italian immigrant bootlegging. That's pretty much the only difference. Other than that, it's exactly the same movie, shot for shot. for the most part. There's a couple scenes that are different, but most of those, but both of those movies are exactly the same. Then there's Little Shop of Horrors, 1986. It was a remake of a remake, you know. And the second remake was actually considered, to be a classic back in the day, before most of our times. And so, it is what it is. Now here's one. True Lies, 1994, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis remake. It's a remake of a French movie from like 1990, I think, 92, I think. So maybe that doesn't fall in most people's definition of remake, but technically it's a remake. Okay. Insomnia, 2002, remake. Heat, 1995, was a remake. And also a remake of a television show. Heat was actually based on the script that eventually became Miami Vice. And then, the writer, the creator of Miami Vice, the guy who wrote that, he wrote the movie Heat. Nobody wanted to pick it up. Then somebody along the line said, hey, well, dude, this is a great idea for a TV show here. Let's do a TV show. So it was made into Miami Vice. And then eventually when he got more recognition in Hollywood and he finally was able to do Heat in 1995, it's basically Miami Vice. 12 Monkeys, 1995, remake. The Man Who Knew Too Much, 1956, was a remake. The Maltese Falcon was a remake, 1941. That's the one that most everybody know of when they talk about the Maltese Falcon. But there was a silent movie before that, and another movie just a few years prior to that. True Grit, 2010. It's a remake. That one's kind of obvious. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, 1988, is also a remake. I'm mostly speaking of Dirty Dancing remake they are doing, though there are quite a few others that do not need to be remade. And here's an interesting thing I brought up in the topic. Die Hard. The Die Hard franchise, Bruce Willis. There's only one movie in the entire Die Hard franchise that was actually meant to be a Die Hard movie. And nope, it wasn't the first movie. The first Die Hard movie, if I remember correctly, was intended to be a sequel to Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Fell through, whatever happened. Eventually got turned into the Die Hard movie. The script for Commando 2 was turned into Die Hard, and that's how we got Die Hard. Die Hard 2 was a sequel to another franchise. Can't remember off the top of my head. Was actually intended to be another movie altogether, not a Die Hard movie. Somewhere along the line, it got changed to be Die Hard 2. Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance, was actually a movie that was supposed to be made called Simon Says. They couldn't get the script. They couldn't get money for the script. They couldn't get money to get the movie made. And then somebody decided, hey, why don't we make this the Die Hard 3 movie? And there you go. You got the Die Hard 3 movie. Die Hard 4, Live Free or Die Hard, right? Timothy Elefante was actually a movie made. Believe it had, I forget who is the main actor now. Oh, Timothy Elefante was the hero. Okay, and then the script and the name of the movie was going to be WorldWar3.com. Okay, so basically they filmed like half the movie, and then 9/11 happened, and they stopped production on the movie because they felt like, it just some of the scenes in the movie, some of the imagery that was going to be in the movie was just going to be a little too much for people to handle. Because it would only have been like not less than a year after 9/11 when the movie would have been released. They just abandoned the project altogether. And then eventually they came back and they reworked the script to be a Die Hard movie, Die Hard 4. Timothy Elefante, since he was still under contract, got to come back on to play the villain in that movie. So which movie was actually intended to be Die Hard, and that was the last Die Hard movie we got, and it had showcased his son as an adult and whatnot. What is it called? A Good Day to Die Hard, whatever. And that was the worst of them all. It was the worst of them all, in my opinion. And that was the only Die Hard movie that was based on a script that was intended to be a Die Hard movie. You know. And pretty much I just said the point is, we just do not know if a remake is worth doing until it is already done, which is true. You know, because like her thing is, but if you feel the need to use someone else's talent, take something that sucks and make it better. Do not remake something that is already a perfect classic. You won't make a ton of money. Well, not true, Amanda. I mean, Ocean's 11 made a crap ton of money. And they took a classic, a well-established classic, featuring and starring the Rat Pack, and in most people's opinions made a far superior movie and a superior product. You know, I don't mean to aim this at Amanda. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. I mean, because she's not the only one. Hey, you know, there's other people out there. You know who you are. We've had this conversation before about remakes. And the thing is that we just don't know. We don't know until it's done and made, you know, if it's going to be better or if it's going to make money. We just don't know. So I say go ahead. I mean, it's their money. It's their property, you know. Do whatever they want. So The Thing 1982 is another example, a remake of a classic that turned out to be better and far superior and made a crap ton of money. And I said no movie is untouchable, including Dirty Dancing. Wink. And I also went on to say, said besides, Dirty Dancing is just a movie manifesto for pedophiles. And I know that may touch some people a little wrong, but it is. I forget Patrick Swayze's character in the movie. I remember Baby is Jennifer Grey's character. Johnny, I guess is his name. I've seen the movie like twice maybe, and I haven't even seen the whole thing from beginning to end. It was one of those movies in the I mean, I've probably seen bits and pieces of it tons of times because it was one of those movies in the 80s and 90s that just, you know, everybody watched. You know, when it came on HBO, you watched it, you know, but I never caught the movie once ever from beginning to end. And so anyways, I know the movie and I know most of the infamous scenes in it. But it's really it's an okay movie. I mean, if you get down to it. But being a perfect classic, perfect movie or whatever, that's subjective. You know, people have different tastes, you know. I mean, look at Transformers. I mean, that movie is just breaking box office records left and right, and those are crap movies for the most part. But they keep cranking them out because they make money. You know, and yes, there are plenty of examples of remakes failing. The recent RoboCop reboot, and there was just all kinds of that movie sucked. They had some great ideas. They just didn't execute properly. And one of their major flaws was making a PG-13 movie based on an R-rated property. Part of the original RoboCop's appeal was just the whole grit and grime and whatever of the future. Now, it was one of those, like, you see movies that depict the future as being utopian and whatnot, and then you got movies that depict the future as being, you know, a crap hole. Well, neither is probably going to be correct. It's going to be somewhere in between. If anything, it'll be better. The future always gets better. I mean, we can get in economics a little bit, but People are living longer lives. They're living healthier lives. They're, you know, just 150 years ago, like 90% of the U.S. had to just to survive, had to go out into fields and break their backs from sun up to sundown just to make sure they had something on the table to eat that night. And now we don't, you know. Only about 5% of the nation now farms. And people are upset. Like, you'll see some people talk about, oh, we need to save the farms. The farms are going away. Why are they going away is the question we should ask. If they're going away because, you know, they can't farm and it's just becoming too hard to farm, you know, and make enough food, whatever, okay, let's look at that. But if farms are going away because the farms that do exist are just getting better at farming and are able to produce more food in shorter amounts of time on less land, so on and so forth, that's awesome. I mean, and if you're an environmentalist, that's awesome. You know, so I don't care if the farms are going away. I care why they're going away. You know, that's what I want to look into. Anyways, let's get back to movies. I want to make today's episode a little lighthearted. You know, we're talking about movie remakes and whatnot. So there are definitely examples of remakes just being crap fest. There's no doubt about it. Let me adjust this camera a little bit here. Adjust the camera a little bit. I was a little off the side there, wasn't I? But there's definitely movies where it was a complete failure. The recent Annie remake. I haven't seen it, but that's a whole nother subject, if you will. So it just didn't look appealing to me. And it had nothing to do with being mostly a black cast or whatever. I was actually cool with that. It was just the other aspects of the movie just turned me off, you know. And it didn't come out as having the same. Of course, I don't even give a crap because I didn't even like the original Annie. I think it's stupid. I don't like musicals for the most part. I like 3 musicals that I can recall. I like South Pacific. I like Guys and Dolls and The Music Man. That's about it. And the only reason why I like South Pacific is because my biological father's parents, my grandparents, took me to see it when I was young. And I was enthralled with it. I was just, you know, the story was just, I don't even remember much from it back then. I just remember like really liking what I was seeing. And I was a fairly young kid at the time. So that's why I like that. It's more nostalgic. And it's nostalgia with the other two as well. If most of you remember at our high school, my high school, we put on the productions of Guys and Dolls and The Music Man. I think my junior and senior years. I was heavily involved with the production of the one our senior year, which I think was The Music Man, or it could have been Guys and Dolls. I can't remember. But I did some of the lighting and the sound and stuff like that back in the booth and whatnot. So, and being involved with it, I think, you know, makes me appreciate those stories a little more. And then just seeing them rehearsed a lot, you know, and things like that, I was like, you know, I kind of understood what the heck was going on more, you know. But I do like them, you know. And it's neat to go back and pick up on the little subtle sexual innuendos of those old movies and shows and plays and stuff, you know, and to think that we look back and go, oh, we were just so good back then. And we weren't. They were just as deviant. They just expressed it differently. That's all. There was a little more sly about it. So anyways, where was I? So anyways, remakes. I'm fine with it. Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing, folks. If they remake a movie in this example, in this context, Dirty Dancing. a remake does not destroy or make the original null and void. It doesn't erase the original from history. It doesn't erase the original from being seen. The original is always still going to be there. Nothing's going to take away from the original. Okay? So what, they do a remake? Maybe it'll be better. And if it's not better, if it's not good, you still got the original. No big deal. Go back and see the original. As a matter of fact, what a remake can do, and has done for many other properties, is get interest peaked in the original that would not have otherwise been peaked. You see, now that there's this buzz about a remake of Dirty Dancing, you got a whole generation of kids probably never even seen the original one. And if there was never going to be a remake, they probably would have never seen it. You'll be surprised. I have, dealings with younger folk a lot. I play video games online and stuff like that. And there's a good portion. Most of the guys I play with are my age and older. But every now and then you come across some younger folks and whatnot, younger guys and gals, and you're like last night, for instance. I was sitting there. We were playing with this couple dudes I just met last night online, and I had two of my buddies that were playing with me, and they were some old friends of theirs from online or whatever. Anyways, we're in the game, and somebody had an ammo crate, because we're playing like a military simulator game. And somebody had an ammo crate, and so one of my buddies asked, "What'd you get in it?" And I just go, "What's in the box? What's in the box? Come on, what's in the box?" And now my two older buddies, they start laughing hysterically, right? And the two other guys were just like, "Okay, all right, yeah, okay, man. Well," and he proceed to tell me what's in the box. And I was like, "Oh man, it's a quote from a movie, dude, from the movie Seven." And he's like, "Never even heard of it," So, and that's a relatively newer film than Dirty Dancing. And though it doesn't have the cult following like Dirty Dancing does, maybe it does in certain circles, I don't know. But I mean, Seven is still up there in a well-known movie. I mean, I think it even won some awards, things like that. But so that's a relatively newer movie than Dirty Dancing, and these guys had no clue as to what it was. So my point is this: a remake doesn't take away from the original. It doesn't make it null and void. It doesn't destroy it. If the remake sucks, you still got the original, and it's always there. And like I'm trying to point out, many times, especially with your newer generation kids, a remake will pique their interest. Dirty Dancing, and then somebody along the line, or somehow or another, it'll come out and come to their attention that this is a remake of a 1980s movie. And a lot of times that piques people's interest. It does for me, and I know a lot of people it does. Where they'll go, "Oh, that's a remake? Well, I'd like to go check out that remake." Or the original, I should say. And and it happens even with books. Okay, movies based on books will increase the sales of books. It's just inevitably going to happen. And a personal example of that is Planet of the Apes. I grew up loving the Charlton Heston movie. And then I eventually liked, I would watch the other movies, the sequels, and it was like, 6 of them, 5 of them. And yeah, they weren't as good production-wise and script-wise and things like that, but some of them had some definitely interesting stories about them. And then 2001 rolls around, and Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes is about to come out. And Tim Burton's one of my favorite directors. He's probably up there, and definitely in the top 5. Tim Burton is. He hasn't made a lot, all his movies haven't been great, but I love Tim Burton's movies. Love them. So 2001 comes around, and here Hollywood is doing a remake, as they say, of Planet of the Apes. When in all actuality, it wasn't really a remake, it was more of a retelling. And there were some elements of the original movie in there, but there was also elements that the original movie left out from the book that Tim Burton implemented. Okay? Now, one of the things that Tim Burton shied away from was the main antagonist being a chimpanzee, simply based on Tim Burton had said, "I'm scared to death of chimpanzees." So that's the reason why Tim Roth's character, General Thade, is a chimpanzee and not a gorilla. You see, if you know anything about the Pierre Boulez's Planet of the Apes, the original novel that all the movies are based off of, is that there was a class structure of the ape society, whereas chimpanzees were the scientists, the smart ones, the teachers, the intellectuals, if you will. The orangutans were the aristocrats, the bureaucrats, the politicians, and the gorillas were kind of the underclass. They were the workers, the grunts, the military, and so sticking true to the book, it would have been all gorillas in the military, not chimpanzees and whatnot. And so, but the point is, when I saw Tim Burton coming out with his movie, it made me realize I was in 2001. I was what 23, 22 years old, 22, 23 years old. It made me go, you know what? I've never read the book. And so me and my wife, we were in Walmart, and we weren't married at the time. I don't think though. No, we weren't. We weren't married at the time. We were just dating. But we were in Walmart. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go over here to the book section and see if they got Planet of the Apes. And sure enough, they had it. Because the movie was coming out, and they had the original Planet of the Apes book everywhere, plus the novelizations of the movie that was about to come out, and so on and so forth. So I picked up the original novel that all the whole franchise is based off of. And I tell you what, man, that was a great book. And you want to talk about twist endings and plot twists and stuff, they slam you with three. They slam you with three twist endings in that book. You think the book's ended, and all of a sudden oh nope, here's the ending. Oh my lord, what's going on? And then there's like, okay, that's great, and then you get another little twist ending, and there's like two, or there could be two. I think there's two. There's definitely two twist endings to the book, maybe a third. And in all actuality, Tim Burton's movie is more true to the ending of the original book than the original Charlton Heston movie. See, in the book, it's another planet that's the Planet of the Apes. Okay? Not Earth. Right? But that was the twist ending of Charlton Heston's. It was, he thought he was on another planet where apes ruled, but it turns out he was actually on Earth the whole time. That was kind of like the twist. With the book, I'm going to spoil it. Spoiler alert, because it's awesome. If you're going to read the book, stop watching right now or fast forward a couple minutes or something. I don't know. So in the book, the whole premise is there's this couple. It sets up this universe where space travel is like normal. Like people have, like we have cars and travel around from place to place. Well, people in this future have spaceships like cars, and they just travel around. And a lot of them are actually described as like sailboats. Like they have these huge, massive sails where they can capture solar winds and stuff and be swept around the galaxy or whatever. And so, anyways, there's this couple traveling around, and they come across a bottle, just kind of floating around in space. And they bring the bottle in, and it's actually a message in a bottle, right? And they pulled the message out, and they started reading the message. Well, that message is the book, if you get what I'm saying. It's kind of like They're reading the message that they find in this bottle, and it's the events of the book that were written down by one of the people that witnessed the events. Okay? And so then in the journal, let's call that the journal. In the journal, the main character talks about how, they had this mission to go to the nearest star and the nearest planet to the nearest star, and then they discovered basically there's a planet of apes there where apes rule, humans are not ruling and whatnot, and there's actually a history behind how that came to be. And the current movies is actually exploring how that came to be somewhat. There wasn't a virus involved. It was more about there was other things that happened, but it's definitely closer. Like, if you go back and watch the original Planet of the Apes, all the movies, the subsequent books after or movies after the original Charlton Heston one actually delve into that history and how it all came to be. And those actually stick a lot closer to the books than the original movie did. So, you go and they're reading this. Now, the main character in the book, he has his little adventure on the planet of the apes and whatnot. And then he eventually gets back to Earth. Well, then when he gets to Earth, lo and behold, Earth is now run by apes. Right? And then the book cuts back to the couple who are in the spaceship reading the journal, and the man looks at his wife, and it says, the man looks at his wife and he goes, "Well, that's just ridiculous. Don't you find that a little funny and ludicrous?" And his wife, looks back at him and goes, "Yes, humans flying ships and driving cars? That's ridiculous." And it turns out that the people reading the manuscript or the journal, they were apes themselves. So, twist ending. What a twist. So that's Planet of the Apes, right? Now, there's different opinions on Tim Burton's remake. I, for one, enjoyed it. I liked it. It didn't confuse me like it did a lot of people. It's actually a simple explanation. It requires maybe a little bit of illustration to understand how time may bend through a magnetic storm or black hole, whatever that thing was. I don't think it was a black hole, though. A lot of people were saying black hole. Not a black hole. It was a magnetic storm. And it was an unknown phenomenon to the characters in the movie. So, the point is, though, Tim Burton's remake got me going, I've never read the book. Let me go get the book. So I went and got the book. Sales of the book went up. And Dirty Dancing, if you didn't know, is based on a book. Dirty Dancing's not original. It's based on a book that a lady wrote. And she mainly was writing it's sort of a semi-biography about her life. And her summers at this resort at the Catskills that her and her family would go to. And she's basically writing about herself, her sister, and her mother and her father. And somebody took the book and said, "Hey, this would make a great movie. Make it Dirty Dancing." So you got Dirty Dancing. So Dirty Dancing, not an original idea. So why is Dirty Dancing safe? There's hardly anything, like I said, there's hardly ever anything original out of Hollywood. And I don't say that as a bad thing. It's just the way it is. They're not in the business of making new ideas. They're in the business of telling stories. And more often than not, there's just more stories out there to be told than what you could probably come up with in your own little circle. You got thousands of books being published every day. Why have somebody sit down and write a whole brand new original script when you already have basically a story out there waiting to be told in the visual form? And that's awesome. I love that. Like I said, I don't say it as a bad thing that Hollywood's not original. Just, what do you guys think? And, tell me what you guys think. You know, like I said, if they do a remake, it doesn't destroy the original. It doesn't get rid of it. It doesn't make it null and void. It's not like they can, when they make a remake, they don't go out and confiscate all the original copies and whatnot of all the of the original movie and then burn them for nobody to ever see for all time. It's not like they do that. They remake it. Hopefully, it's better, but we won't know until after it's done. We just won't know. So that's my take on remakes. That's what I feel. That's what I think about remakes. I'm fine with them. You know, and whatnot. So on to let's do. I want to share. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go and go live on Facebook to finish off the show. See if can we do like 2 broadcasts at the same time? Is that possible? Holy shnikes. Well, it looks like I can do. Isn't that something? Look at that. I can actually broadcast on both YouTube and Facebook at the exact same time. That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm actually in the middle of my show, folks. I didn't realize I could broadcast on both at the same time. My broadcasting software is awesome. But yeah. So here I am. Broadcasting on both Facebook and YouTube at the exact same time. Through the same software. That's awesome. So, anyways, so movie remakes. Let's do it. Let's do it where what do you guys think about movie remakes? I've already done, I just did like an hour. Or no. I did like 40 minutes of me ranting and raving about movie remakes. So that's that. I think this is cool. This is the way I'm gonna. I think this is the way I'm gonna go about it now. Yeah, yeah. This is weird, wild stuff. Yes, weird, wild stuff. Anyways, let's do this. I'm gonna share this song with you guys. There's an artist out now. He's relatively new. It's been out a few years now. His name is NF. It stands for his first and last initials. Nate something. I don't know what his last name is. NF. He's a Christian rapper out of Detroit, and he's actually going to be a Firefly here in Delaware. And if you guys don't know what Firefly is, I guess it goes all around the country throughout the year. I'm not sure. It's a big music festival they have at Dover Downs. And Dover Downs is the NASCAR racetrack up in Dover. It's called the Monster Mile because it's like 1.2 miles long, 1.1 miles long racetrack. Anyways, in and around the racetrack they have this music festival every year now. They've done it for 5 years now, maybe 6. And people come from all around the country. They camp there. It's like Woodstock, you know. They camp there. They have stages set up in all kinds of different places. There's a main stage and there's side stages and stuff like that. And it costs like $1,000 to attend. It's crazy because there's like 20, 30 artists that show up. But NF is gonna be there. And anyways, he's a Christian rapper. I really enjoy him. He's real. He's raw. He's tough. He's out there. As far as he's in your face. He's like serious. I'm gonna play this song. The song is called "Real" by NF, and I'm gonna actually show you the video as well. And then I'm gonna discuss with you some lyrics in it. There's definitely some lyrics that kind of you know stand out to me. By the way, if you're just joining us and you want to hear about all the movie remake stuff, it'll be on YouTube. I started broadcasting live on YouTube, and then realized in the middle of the broadcast I can actually broadcast on both YouTube and Facebook. Let me know how it looks though. I'm not sure if it's messing up the broadcast. Like maybe it's a little stuttery. Maybe the quality's not good. Trying to do both at the same time. Let me know, guys, in the comments if that's the case. Anyways, here we go. NF real. This line coming up. That was deep. He said, "You want to know where my heart is? I stand out because I wear my garbage." Mm, mm. I'm telling you, folks, that's some raw stuff right there. It's raw. I mean, where's that one? All right, listen to this.
They don't get so sensitive when I say something a little bit raw. I drop my thoughts and they call it negative. You wanna know where my heart is? I stand out because I
wear my garbage. You want to know where my heart is? I stand out because I wear my garbage. Now, I don't know if you guys realize it, but that's straight out of the Bible. That's Paul speaking. That's Paul when he talks about I brag about my flaws, you know. It's like it just reminds me of what Paul said about his shortcomings and things like that. I mean, my Lord, and I'm telling you right now, folks, I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps at that part of the song.
All in negative. You wanna know where my
Mm. Anyways, you guys should check this man out, NF. His music is amazing. He's got a song called Mansion. And again, that's the whole thing of like I stand at the door and I knock. You know, it's all about him talking about the different rooms in his house and how like he's hiding things and he doesn't want to let people in. He doesn't want to let God in because of what God might think about him and things like that. And he's even admits in the song it's ridiculous because it's God. He knows what's in the room. So whatever, you know what I mean? Well, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here for today's episode of Pants Undone. But before we go, we're gonna check out Lecrae and I'm Turnt, which is it's a nice song. It's a fun song, you know, whatnot. Uh, I'm not in complete agreement with the way Lecrae has gone with his music these days. I mean, his music is great still. He's still producing some great stuff as far as quality is concerned. He's going the route that New Wine, and I'm showing my age, but I know most of you guys don't even know about Christian hip hop, much less the goings ons and outs and ins of all the people around Christian hip hop. I've been around Christian hip hop since the '80s. Really got into it after I became a Christian in 1995. I mean, delved into it more. I got into the industry. I met somebody close in the industry. Somebody who's become basically family is in the industry. So I've had a lot of dealings with. I promoted concerts back in the '90s for Christian hip hop artists in Jacksonville. I helped Murray Hill Theater do some, promoting concerts, things like that. I did a lot of work at Murray Hill Theater back when it first started down there in Jacksonville, Florida. Behind the scenes, whatever. The point is, I've been in the industry as far as Christian hip hop and whatnot. I've seen some negative things go on, absolutely. I've seen some, things that, it's like a lot, like, man, Christians acting like that. Well, they're people too, and unfortunately, there's money involved because people got to pay bills, people got to eat, right? And so things happen. things happen, whatever. And so I just, you know, I grew up on hip hop. I grew up on rap music, R&B, what have you, and so that genre of music's really, yeah, it's you know, back before, you know, when the only way you could listen to music was to actually go probably buy a CD or hear it on the radio. I wouldn't buy music of any other genre except for hip hop. You know, I didn't dislike other genres. I like some rock and roll. I like some like ska and the alternative music, things like that. But I just never would buy it per se, and because I had a very limited amount of money, you know, it wasn't like I could just buy whatever music I wanted to. It was like I could buy a CD like one a month. So it was like, okay, what am I gonna buy here? I'm gonna buy the hip hop, you know, because that's the music that I'm mostly into. And so, anyways, Lecrae went the route of New Wine, and New Wine is a Christian hip hop artist from back in the early to mid '90s, and even later than that. He's done Christian. He did Christian hip hop for a good 10, maybe 15 years, and then he started on a kick of like getting secular artists. Gangster rappers, if you will, whatever, on his tracks with him. And he did it for noble reasons, trying to reach out to him, reach him with the gospel, things like that. You know, he wasn't trying to just keep himself in a box, in a bubble, but you know, trying.
Never join you, Dooku.
I never will, Dooku. You can keep that stuff to yourself. That's my sound every time I disconnect something from a USB port. That's my system sound. I'll never join you, Dooku. And then Yoda says something when you shut down the computer or start it up or something. But New Wine went the route, and now New Wine, I mean, he started doing secular music, and he went big time secular. Like, he went from like talking about like God and Jesus and Scripture, like, and his music is phenomenal. It's quality music, and it has like an awesome message that hits you in the heart. It hits at home. It's real. It's raw. You know what I mean? But it doesn't compromise. And the problem is he started compromising. And then he came out with this one song called Shake Your Sally. And that's what confirmed it. Was like nobody really knew what was going on with New Wine in the industry. You know. And then like all of a sudden like we see like Shake Your Sally come out. And it was like, what? What? And it's like it's crazy because I was friends with New Wine on MySpace back when MySpace was a thing, and I was friends with him on Facebook when Facebook became the thing, and me and him conversed a lot and stuff like that. And then his change came. His change to what he's doing now came, and I mean, we weren't like friends, you know, like buddies, pals. You know, he was a guy that he knew that we had a mutual friend in the industry, in the business, and we knew each other through that mutual friend. And so I got, you know, I was friends with him on Facebook and whatnot. And most of my conversations with him was just like, hey, what's going on? You know, anything new coming out? What's going on? You know, blah, blah, blah. Nothing personal, you know, things like that. And then his switch came, and I was thrown aback. I was thrown off. I was just like, whoa. And then Shake Your Sally came out. He posted that to his Facebook page, and I was like, what? And so I just private messaged him, and all I did, this is all I did, folks, when I private messaged New Wine after this switch happened. I simply linked him to one of his songs called Backslider that he did. And I think actually he did it with Lil Rascal. Him and Lil Rascal did it together, if I remember right. The point is, I could get the name of the song wrong. The point is, all I did was link him in a private message to one of his older songs. And if I remember correctly, it was a song talking exactly about what he was doing. And he defriended me. He blocked me. And so I care about the man, whatnot. I'm not saying that that's the way Lecrae's going. New Wine's fall happened fast when his happened. At least in terms of that time. I mean, Lecrae's been on this kick of going secular a little bit for at least 3 or 4 years now. I don't even know if that's the correct way to word it or to label it, because I don't want to upset him. I'm just calling it like I see it. You know. I used to be friends with Lecrae on Facebook, but then he changed his profile to a page instead of his personal. So now he has a personal page, and so I'm not friends with him except for through his page, his artist page, I guess, if you will. But Lecrae, this is a song from Lecrae. It's not new. I'm getting old, so I don't get brought up to speed on these things until they've been out for a while. So I'm a little behind sometimes. But anyways, it's still a great song. It's reminiscent of what Jesus did a lot. So I can't argue with it on that front, because Jesus hung out with the sinners. He hung out at their parties. He did. As a matter of fact, his first miracle was to make sure there was still enough wine for people to get drunk on. That's been going around a lot on Facebook. I've seen a few of my friends post articles about, should Christians drink? I mean, it's 1000 hours, by the way. Thanks, computer, for telling me that. I don't know if you guys seen it with, hold on a second. I gotta, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying now. I'm getting old. Anyway, I don't even know what I was saying. We're gonna play this song. We'll play this song from Lecrae. Okay, it's a good song. Oh, getting drunk. That's what we're talking about. So I've seen this a lot. Like, a bunch of friends of mine have posted some articles, and I guess this is the thing now in the Christian community. Like, it's a thing we're discussing now. It's the topic of the day, of the week, or whatever. And it's, should Christians drink? And then everybody gets so legalistic about it. The Bible's clear we probably shouldn't get drunk. The Bible does not say we can't drink. The Bible does have different standards of how leaders should live, because they're the examples. Okay? And then another thing that everybody's throwing around in that context of that discussion is about not doing things to make your brother stumble. And I just don't know if we understand that part of the scripture completely correctly. And the reason why I say that is because you can literally shut down all activity if we were to take that scripture and the way people think it is telling us to behave to its ultimate end. We would have to go individually lock ourselves in a box, because almost anything we do could cause your brother to fall. I mean, what if your brother has a problem with Facebook and it consuming all of his time, right? And it's bad for him. It consumes his time to where he doesn't spend time with family. He doesn't spend time with kids. His wife is neglected. Everything's neglected in his life. Everything, because he's on Facebook, right? Well, I mean, do we then go, all right, all the other Christians don't use Facebook because we might cause Brother Johnson to stumble? Should we go about that route? I don't think so, because that'd be ridiculous. Maybe when you get around Brother Johnson, you don't talk about Facebook, maybe. Maybe when you get around Brother Johnson, you don't show him Facebook, like, hey man, did you see this post? And then he's like, oh man, I'm missing out on all these posts, and I got a lot to say, kind of like Pants Undone, And so, I don't know. Hey, my beard. A little scruffy. Look, I got scratched again, my stupid cat. Stupid cat. I hate cats. I hate cats. I love them, but I hate them. You know, I love them because I have to, that they're in my house. But I hate cats. They're worthless. They don't do nothing. They just lay around. You know, they act like they want you to pet them. And then they just scurry away the moment you get near them. Like, you know, it's like, dude, you came up to me. You know. I mean, there's a few cats I've ever known that just would actually, like, cuddle with you. Cuddle. Anyways, my beard. A little scruff. Oh, look, I got the neck stuff going on there. Gotta fix that. Anyways, what was I talking about? Lecrae. Let's watch this video from Lecrae. It's called Undone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ugh! They can't tell me that's not a hot song. That right there. You can't tell me that's not a hot song, folks. You can't tell me that song ain't turned. So it's a metaphor, right? He's turned because he's turned to Christ. He's turned. He's saved. He's been changed. He's been altered, right? And he's still the life of the party, even though there's no Molly and a sippy, right? And that's kind of like what we're supposed to be as Christians, right? We should be the life of the party, and still not conforming to the world at the same time. Jesus did it. When Jesus turned water into wine, he was the life of the daggone party. And people, check this, people. People got really, really, really wasted on Jesus's wine. Like for real wasted. Wasted. They even complimented the host on the wine. They said, because back in those times, the tradition or the cultural norm, if you will, the norm, what people would do when they threw parties in those times was they would actually have the best wine out first, and they'd wait for everybody to get tipsy, and they'd start bringing out the crappy stuff, so they wouldn't notice, and they'd still drink it. You see, so but when they ran out of wine at that, I think if I remember right, it was a marriage party, like a wedding. It just happened, it was a wedding party or whatever, and everybody's already tipsy, and they ran out of wine, and Jesus said, there you guys go, keep it going, you know, and then they actually came to the host and said, people usually bring out the bad stuff at the end, but you saved the best for last. This wine is awesome. And you'll hear scholars say, yeah, but it wasn't fermented wine. It was what we call new wine, which is unfermented. Grape juice, basically, right? But that's not how the people described it. The people at the party didn't describe it as new wine. They described it as the best wine. And if I remember right, it actually even says that they became merry after drinking Jesus's wine. They became even more merry. They got drunk, people, and they got more drunk. Now, am I saying that getting drunk is okay now? No, I'm not saying that at all. But it's okay to drink, and getting drunk may be okay. Maybe. From time to time. Maybe. I don't know. But the thing is that when the Bible talks about drunkenness or being a drunkard, it's not talking about getting drunk. It's talking about a person whose lifestyle is controlled by the alcohol. That their lifestyle is surrounded or revolves around the alcohol and getting drunk. They're a drunkard. You see, we might call those persons an alcoholic these days. And that's what the Bible is mostly. What the heck is on there? There's something on my little microphone screen. So that's when you take the actual Hebrew and the actual Greek and the actual Aramaic that was spoken at the time, the words better translate in something like, you shouldn't have a lifestyle of a drinker, basically, Now, on a personal note, I don't drink. I drink on very rare occasions. But it is not a part of my life because I know how Ronald Pant would be with alcohol. Ronald Pant would abuse it. Ronald Pant knows that, so Ronald Pant stays away. So alcohol's not a part of my life, but that's my personal choice. That's my personal walk. That's how I know how I am. I know where I would be if that would be a part of my life. But the Bible doesn't say you can't drink, and the Bible does not specifically say you can't get drunk. In the sense that we understand drunk. When it says do not be drunk off of wine, but be drunk off the Spirit. Again, the Greek word there basically is indicating a lifestyle of drunkenness. Don't be given over to a lifestyle of drunkenness, but rely on the Holy Spirit to, keep you where you are, type thing. I think Christians get too legalistic. I think most Christians don't even know why they believe half the things they believe. They just know Pastor so-and-so said it, so they believe it. They hold to it. I don't drink either, Charles Brown. Well, that's good, man. That's good. Hey, since you're watching there, Mr. Chuck, I need some coils. You got some coils down there at the shop? Because when I'm done here, I'm gonna come your way. Okay, you got some coils down there, man? But I desperately need coils. So I'm just, it's a personal thing. The Bible does not explicitly say one thing or the other. All right, so when I'm done here, I'm coming to see you, and we can discuss things a little further. And so that's I'm Turned by Lecrae and whatnot. And I think that's going to do it for us today, folks. Again, today, a little choppy. I started out the broadcast on YouTube, and then figured out while I was fiddling around with my broadcasting software that I can broadcast on both Facebook and YouTube all at the same time. So that's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to do both. And that way, YouTube, I can keep track of things on YouTube, like viewership, how long people watch, whether or not I need to change up some formatting and whatever, blah, blah, blah. This video looks a little, let's do the brightness here. Does that look better? Let's see here. Let's do a reset here. Woo! Those colors are popping. I guess that looks all right there. So, anyways, folks, that's gonna be all for today. Thank you all, you guys, for watching. Thank you for watching. All the people that's gonna watch afterwards. What's crazy is the last video I have, I think I'm over like 400 views, which is like, it's good. That's good. That's really good. I mean, I want to reach a wider audience, though. I want to reach like people that I don't know. I want to reach people that don't know anybody I know, and grow this thing. It might take a while, and that's cool. That's cool. But and if you guys want to discuss something, just let me know, man. Comment, leave a comment, message me, pants.undone@gmail.com. Email me, and a subject you want to talk about. Maybe some questions you have about life, about faith, about economics. And then we can discuss those questions on air and whatnot. But I'm out, fellas. And Mr. Chuck, I'm about to come down and see you. I'm gonna shower. I'm a poop, shower, and shave, as they say. I'm probably not gonna shave though. And I'm gonna come down and see you, get some coils, maybe get some more juice. I don't know. We'll see. So, I love you guys. Remember, think with your mind and use your heart for everything else, as Captain Disillusion says. I love you guys. And I hope you have a blessed day. Do a little outro here. Let me know if you recognize this little tune here. Alright guys, we'll see you next time. Anybody recognize the tune? Let me know in the comments below.